guys, welcome back to another AP Music Theory video. Today we are part writing again from Roman numerals. I've tried to make everything as close to what I think the test will look like as possible. We have 7 chords. The first one is provided for you, so soprano, alto, tenor, and bass are all set. As far as the time goes, I really think you could do this anywhere from 10 minutes to 12 minutes. But for the sake of just keeping things even, compared to the realizing the figured bass part writing, I'm going to just put 12 and a half minutes on the clock and see if we can get really close to the 10-minute mark though. But we're going to put 12 and a half minutes on, and I'm going to go ahead and start that right now. Okay, so your first step is to realize the Roman numerals. The first one is given for you. So working off of this next one, a major 5-4-3, go up to the 5th scale degree in A flat, which is E flat, and start by building a triad, E flat, G, B flat. Now it's a 4-3, so that means it's a second inversion 7th chord. So we're going to add our D flat, or the 7th of that chord right there. Before moving on, what I would urge you to do is, we've written it in root position, which is fine, but when you write your bass note, it's not going to be this E flat, it's going to be this B flat. So what I would urge you to do is to circle all of your bass notes. And then later, when we write the bass line, we'll come back to the circled notes only. Okay, moving on. A 1 chord, A flat, we're in the key of A flat, C, E flat, with your with the C being the lowest note. Not your root, but the lowest note. A 2 chord, minor 2 is built on B flat, that's scale degree 2. D flat, that's a 3rd up, and another 3rd up is the F. You're in root position here, so the B flat is your is your bass note. The 1-6-4, A flat, C, E flat, second inversion triad, so the E flat is your bass note. A 5-7 in root position, built on scale degree 5, so it's the same as this chord here. E flat, G, B flat, D flat. And then your final chord is A flat, C, E flat. Root position here and root position there. So you've realized all the Roman numerals and you have circled all of your bass notes. Okay, so before starting to write your bass line, I would again come through and on each chord and in between the chords that are dominant to tonic, where you have resolution tones and tendency tones, is to draw arrows showing where those go. So this is tonic, dominant, tonic. So we have the dominant chord to tonic. The leading tone in A flat is going to be the G. And the G is always going to take you to the A flat in this key. So leading tone taking you to tonic. And the 7th of the 7th chord, right? Root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, resolving down, D flat down to C. Okay, so tonic, predominant. This is a tonic chord, but it's got more predominant function as a 1-6-4. 5-7-1, dominant to tonic. Again, G taking you to A flat, and D flat taking you to C. So now you've got all your tendency tones, resolution tones kind of marked, and you're ready for that. Okay, let's write the bass line. We've got, what do we got? 905, great. So let's write the bass line. The first note's given, they start kind of on a low A flat, so let's keep things close but make it move, right? B flat is the note that we need. We'll use the one right above it. Stems down. Circle note is C. Good. We can just use the C right above it. So a nice little ascending bass line. Here we need a B flat. Don't do anything crazy, no reason to jump up almost a full octave. Just keep it right back here. B flat. Let's mark through these. Now we can have we've got to have a little jump. And from scale degree 2 up to 5, that's totally normal. E flat is right there, stem down. Staying on an E flat. and then resolving to A flat. Here you've got options, right? You could go up to the A flat here, or you could drop back down to the starting note. Any way you want it, I think you could be fine. I'm just going to drop back down to the starting note. Make sure to write the rhythm that completes that measure. There's only one chord in this measure in 3/4 time, so that needs to be a dotted half note. Okay, now time to write the soprano. Strike through that. Okay, time to write the soprano, which is your melody. As much contrary motion as you possibly can to the bass. So they give you a C. With the bass note that low, if I had control over my first note, I would have probably written the E flat, so a little higher, so that I could descend, but I didn't have control over it, so you go with that. In your next chord, this 5/4-3, you need an E flat, a G, or a D flat. I think that the D flat is above the C. The E flat is above the C, and the bass note moves up. It would be nice if we could move the soprano down, but they didn't start you so high. So I think this is an opportunity to jump, get a little jump up. Maybe we could jump up to the E flat here. Let's see what that looks like. So it's similar motion, A flat to B flat, moving up, C to E flat, moving up, but we don't have any parallels, right? A flat to C is like an extended third, what we have here, and B flat to E flat is, a fourth. So no parallel fifths or octaves, so even though that's similar motion, we were okay. Let's mark through the E flat. Also, that's the root of that chord, so that works well. Now if we can descend, that would be cool, because the bass line continues to rise. We need an E flat or an A flat. I don't want to go to the top A flat. Dropping to the low A flat would be kind of encroaching on alto territory. So the best note here is either C or E flat. I personally like the C better. I know we just came from it, but I don't like static motion or non-motion, right, where you would keep the same tone in the melody. So, and it's descending, so it's contrary motion. So let's just bring them back to the C. We've doubled the third of the chord. First inversion chord, that's not the worst thing to do. So we'll just roll on with it. Here we need a D flat or an F. The bass descends, so maybe let's move the soprano up. Let's use that D flat there. Okay, there's a jump up, so if we can have at least a descending motion down in the soprano, I think that's what we'll go for. C or A flat, let's just have it descend to C. Got all kinds of lines striking through there in all directions. Here we go on the E flat chord, we need G, B flat, D flat. So I could write D flat. It's a resolution tone, so that means I would finish on C. I would have to. I could write B flat, which is one note down. I would avoid the G, which is kind of low, or the G way up there. I think with this one, just so that we don't end on scale degree 3, there's nothing wrong with it. It would be like an imperfect, authentic cadence. But so we don't, just to avoid that, there's nothing wrong with it again. Personally, I like the B flat, which is scale degree, 2? Let's go there. And then we can go to maybe the A flat. We could do the C, which is an imperfect, authentic cadence. We could jump up to the 5th. I think any of those notes would work fine. Why don't let's just double the root. Hopefully we haven't made this chord too tight. I don't think so. The bass is low enough, so we'll be okay. Doubling the root there is fine. We did have some similar motion, E flat to A flat, but we're not moving in parallel fifths or octaves, so we're okay. All right, we are at, what are we at? 3 minutes and about 40 seconds, so that should be plenty of time to write in these common tones. Let's keep the alto and tenor line as static and boring as possible. We need G and D flat. D flat is really close to the tenor, so I'm going to write that note right there, D flat. And it's a resolution tone, so just go ahead and write it to the C. Okay, so I've discovered a problem. I have 3/3 on this chord, which is no good. We don't need C, C, and C. I can't change the bass. I like the tenor where it is, so let's change the soprano. I didn't anticipate this problem, but you may get these problems on the test and you'll need to adjust. I think just for a quick fix, I would just continue on that E flat and roll on, right? I know I said I don't like to keep the same note in the melody, but it fixes our problem and we can move on quickly. So let's go with it. All right, so we've got D flat to C. Let's come back and get the alto. We need the G to the A flat. Right here, G, stem down, A flat, stem down. Fantastic. We're looking great. Okay, all we need is an F, but we'll have to double a note. The B flat would be awesome to double because it's the root. Let's see, we can get the D flat back here. We're right up here in tenor land from C back to the note that we were previously on here. So we got B flat, D flat, and then the F, we could get it maybe in the alto. We are still within an octave here. We've got some similar motion, but I think we're okay. Let's keep moving. We need an A flat. So I would go back probably and get it here from the alto. Right there, we just went A flat, F to A flat. We need to, so we've got that right there. I would say what note to double here. Let's don't double the third, let's double the fifth. So let's just write the tenor on the E flat. Cool. G and D flat is what we need. I would just write the D flat there in the tenor. It's going to resolve to C. And then there's those marked out, and then the G right there, resolving to A flat. So what you have here, because you took the A flat in the soprano and you didn't approach it, we didn't approach it from the G. What I would do is, you got one of two options. You could just draw that down like that so that you have 3 roots and a third. There's nothing wrong with that. You're omitting the fifth. And there's our timer. Let's see if another possibility, if you really didn't like doing that, sometimes you can go from leading tone down to the fifth. I would probably not write that. If this were me, right now where I am, taking the test and my timer just went off, I would just leave it like that and go for it. I know that I resolved that note the way they want to see it, and yes, you have 3 roots and a third in that final measure, and you're omitting the fifth. If you have to omit a note, the best note to omit in a chord is the fifth of the chord. The root, you never want to omit the root. The third of every chord, if you think about it, determines its quality, so major or minor. So don't omit the third, because that's one of the more important notes besides the root. The fifth is the least important note. If that note chord were to be played and I'm not near a piano, you would hear that as A flat major even without that E flat. So with the time being where it is, I would leave that like this. Now, I know I ran all the way right up to 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Keep in mind, you're not going to be talking to a camera. You might be talking to yourself, but you're not going to be talking to the camera like I am. So I really feel like I could have done this probably a good 2 minutes, maybe faster, had I not been speaking or trying to teach while I did it. So I really still think the timing of the part writing with Roman numerals is anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes. And I think the timing of the part writing to figured bass could go 12 to 15. All right, so there it is. I don't know if it was perfect, but we got through it, and I stayed within my time limit, and that's what you're going to have to do on this test. So hope this was helpful. I'm going to post a video soon on this same process, but in a minor key, so stay tuned for that. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.